In the grand tapestry of history, some figures are writ large, their names echoing through millennia. Others are whispers, brief mentions that spark our curiosity and leave us wondering. Today, we're pulling on one of those threads, exploring the story of a woman who appears for just a single, powerful moment, yet whose warning reverberates through one of the most pivotal events in human history. This is the story of Pilate's wife. Our setting is Jerusalem, a city simmering with tension during the festival of Passover. The air is thick with religious fervor, political intrigue, and the heavy presence of Roman rule. The Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, holds the power of life and death. Before him stands a man named Jesus of Nazareth, accused by the religious leaders of blasphemy and sedition. Pilate is caught in a political vice, pressured by the crowd and the authorities, yet he can find no real fault in the man standing before him. As this monumental judgment unfolds, a message arrives for the governor. It's not from a military commander or a political advisor. It's from his wife. The Gospel of Matthew is the only place we find her story, a mere handful of words that are absolutely packed with meaning. Matthew chapter 27, verse 19 says, "While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: 'Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him.'" Let's pause and absorb the weight of this moment. In a deeply patriarchal society, a woman, a Roman noblewoman at that, intervenes in a high-stakes, public, political trial. This was simply not done. Her message had to be urgent, her conviction absolute, for her to risk such a breach of protocol. She doesn't just offer an opinion. She issues a stark warning, driven by a deeply unsettling personal experience, a dream. Who is this woman? The Bible doesn't even give us her name. Later Christian traditions, particularly in the Eastern Orthodox Church, would name her Claudia Procula. Some traditions even claim she was a secret convert to the faith that would spring from the man her husband was judging. But based purely on the text, she is an enigma. She is simply Pilate's wife. This anonymity, in a way, makes her story even more universal. She becomes a symbol, a voice of conscience speaking out when it's most needed and most difficult. Now, let's consider the dream. Dreams in the ancient world were not dismissed as random firings of the subconscious. They were often seen as divine messages, omens, or windows into a spiritual reality. The Romans and Greeks had elaborate systems for interpreting dreams. For Pilate's wife to say she had suffered a great deal in her dream suggests it was a terrifying, vivid nightmare. We can only imagine the images that tormented her sleep, visions of injustice, of divine wrath, of the terrible consequences of harming an innocent man. The dream shook her so profoundly that she felt compelled to act immediately. Her message is incredibly direct. Don't have anything to do with that innocent man. The Greek word used for innocent here is dikaios, which can also be translated as righteous. This is a powerful declaration. While the religious leaders are shouting blasphemer and traitor, this Roman pagan woman, prompted by a dream, declares Jesus righteous. She saw a truth that the men in power, blinded by their ambition and fear, could not or would not see. Her warning is a plea for her husband to disengage entirely, to wash his hands of the entire affair, not just with water, but with inaction. She is, in essence, telling him, "This is above your pay grade. Step away. This is not a man you should be involved with." It's a call for discernment, to recognize that some situations carry a spiritual weight far beyond their immediate political context. So how did Pilate react? We know the tragic outcome. The text tells us he received the message while sitting on the judgment seat. He heard his wife's desperate plea. And what did he do? He wavered. He tried to pass the buck, sending Jesus to Herod. He tried to offer the crowd a choice between Jesus and Barabbas, a known insurrectionist. He acknowledged Jesus' innocence multiple times, yet he was too weak, too concerned with his career and with crowd control, to stand firm. In the end, Pilate famously washes his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility." But this symbolic act is hollow. It is a performance of righteousness that stands in stark contrast to his wife's genuine call for true righteousness. He heard the voice of conscience, both from his wife and likely from within himself, but he chose the path of political expediency. He caved to the pressure of the mob. The warning went unheeded. The story of Pilate's wife is a profound lesson in courage and conviction. She had no formal power. She couldn't command armies or issue decrees. All she had was her voice, her influence, and the courage to use it. In a world of loud, angry shouts, her message was a quiet but clear note of truth. She stands as a testament to the idea that you don't need a position of authority to speak up for what is right. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to whisper a warning, to plant a seed of doubt in the face of injustice. Her story also forces us to ask ourselves some difficult questions. How often do we receive warnings, those gut feelings, those dreams in our own lives that tell us a certain path is wrong? How often do we, like Pilate, hear the voice of conscience but allow fear, ambition, or the desire to please others to drown it out? Pilate's wife represents the choice to listen to that inner voice, while Pilate himself represents the tragic consequences of ignoring it. Though her appearance is brief, her legacy is immense. The early church father Origen, writing in the 3rd century, suggested that her dream was divinely sent, part of God's plan to demonstrate Jesus' innocence even through the testimony of a pagan. In the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, both Pilate's wife, Claudia Procula, and Pilate himself are venerated as saints based on a tradition that they both eventually became Christians. Whether she became a believer or not, the story of Pilate's wife remains a powerful and haunting episode. She is the woman who saw the truth in a dream and had the courage to speak it. She is a voice of sanity in a scene of madness, a flicker of light in a moment of profound darkness. Her story reminds us that history is not only shaped by the powerful, but also by the quiet, courageous voices that dare to warn them. It's a timeless reminder to listen to our conscience and to have the courage to speak up, even when we think our voice is too small to make a difference. Because sometimes, a single warning is all it takes to change the course of history, or at the very least, to stand on the right side of it. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration into a fascinating, overlooked story. If you found this interesting, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the hidden corners of history. See you next time.